What?
Mix.
What mix?
I want to mix it.
Yes. Yes, no. So do we need to tell everybody what we're doing?
You don't need to. And if you want me to, we can.
Oh, what are we doing?
So we've browned off some beef. Added some peppers and onions. Sam's adding a bunch of different little spices that I have not been paying attention to.
Garlic powder, paprika, a little bit of rosemary. And it's going to get some salt and pepper. And this is going to also get canned diced tomatoes. And it's going to be a goulash base that I'm going to pressure can. Because there was a fantastic deal on ground beef this week. Yesterday because I thought I was going to need them, but stuff changed.
No, I didn't pull it out.
That's not asking if you took care of it and took care of dishes.
No, I didn't even see it.
Look at that. We do have our own canned tomatoes, but I'm using store-bought today because, well, I don't want to use up all of our diced tomatoes on this. I'm also going to add about a can to half a can to a can's worth of some water. Just because we need liquid to actually can it in. And when we pull it out to actually make the goulash, anyways, it'll get re-seasoned with things like salt, pepper, probably some extra garlic. So, you could do this with beef stock instead of water. I'm just doing water because I don't have any beef stock on hand. And this pot will give us probably 7 pints worth, probably a little extra. The chili I made yesterday gave me like 7.5 pints. So.
We're just waiting for those cans to...
No, the cans are done. That needs to be at a boil.
Oh.
It's gotta be hot.
So we're waiting for this to boil now. So.
With your pressure canning, you always have to do a hot pack, which means your jars are hot and the product that's going into the jars is hot. Sometimes when you're water bathing, you can do a cold pack, which means your jars are washed and like warm, but the product you're putting in is cold. And then you're adding a hot liquid over that.
So we'll check back with you guys once everything starts boiling. Actually, I think it's should start at some point. It's gonna simmer first.
Is it boiling?
No, not yet. Give it a second. I was getting ready to like put the camera away, so it would boil because
Watch pot never boils.
Yeah, exactly. Watch pot never boil. But I mean it's moving right around here, so it looks like it's gonna.
Oh yeah. So I can start getting our jars. Though.
Yeah, so you can start getting the jars and everything, and we can. Do you want the that tray?
No, I'm just gonna put them right on the cutting board.
Okay.
That's what I did last night. It worked out actually better than having the whole stove taken up with a tray.
Well, no, that's fine. I just don't want to.
No, I'm learning what works and what.
No, that's fine. I just know with some of the stickier stuff.
Yeah, the sticky stuff, the tray, but that's not gonna be. You want to show them one of the cans of chili? You can. Sure.
So here we go. A little bit of a jolty, jumpy thing here. So now we're going to the table. So this is all the chili. Made 7 cans right there. So we just gotta wipe those down. Get them underneath the
they
cabinet.
just have to be wiped down and they can be put away.
Well, that's what I was saying.
Well, they should probably be labeled as chili since these guys are gonna look
Correct. Yeah.
similar.
But yep. So there's that. So, but now here's Sam bringing back.
Need a couple paper towels.
Yeah.
Ready? Just like 2. It's just enough to put the vinegar on to wipe the lids for the rinse.
Okay.
This is where it's gonna go like rapid fire succession. Can you hold that? Too much. Too much. Have you ever wanted to can and have a clean kitchen, just so you know it doesn't happen? I can take it out of that overfull jar. Now pint jars actually hold a ton of food. One of these easily boiled up with some macaroni would probably be enough to feed the 4 of us without any leftovers. Because this is not your traditional like Hungarian goulash. This is the Americanized version that's generally served with pasta. Well, maybe I won't really have any extra out of this. Put that off. Oh, there it is. So now I'm just going to go around the jars and I'm going to debubble them and get everything shifted around so I can figure out whether they need more, like that one's going to need more. I think that one's going to be spot on. I might actually have to take a little bit out of it. And the reason I'm canning it instead of freezing it is because, well, there's much more important things I could put in my freezer instead of something like this that can be canned. And if anything ever happens where I don't have my freezers, I have shelf-stable stuff that is still good to be eaten. You want to give me a spoon?
Yeah.
Because that needs some taken out, that needs some added, some taken out, some added. Perfect. 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 So. And the jars that needed some stuff taken out, I'm just taking out of the fuller, or I'm putting into the ones that needed stuff added. Now that's a little too low. So I'm leaving about an inch worth of headspace. Still needs a little bit, still needs some. Okay. Did I measure this one? Perfect. I'm using a spoon now to spoon some of this in because it's literally just a couple spoonfuls and then we're good. That was actually a spoonful too much. Get back in there. Okay, so we're done with that. Do you want to get one more of those just to put the rest of that in? Right there. You want to use this? We have a little left that's not getting canned today because my canner, even though it says it can hold 8 of these, I don't like how unsteady the jars are in there. And I'm just going to wipe the rims with some white vinegar. This is to make sure there's nothing on there that would cause a not so good seal. And then I'm just going to start putting on our lids and our rings. I'm going to do these 2 at a time because I'm going to take them over to the canner. And there's about half a jar of that by the looks of it. So probably later tonight I'll boil up a little bit of pasta so we can add it in there for Josh so he has lunch for work tomorrow. if that's what you would like.
Yeah, why not? Continue to make everybody jealous at work, but I eat very well at home.
Hot.
So there's that.
Okay guys, we're back with Snickerdoodle Cookies. In this bowl I have 1 1/3 cups of sugar and 2 sticks of butter that were not completely softened the way I need, so I stuck them in the microwave for like about a minute because they were out of the freezer. And I will make sure the link to this recipe is posted in the description below. But to this now I'm going to add 1 egg and 1 egg yolk. I'm cheating and using store-bought eggs today because, well, I have them and I need to use them up. Because we won't eat store-bought eggs. Shit, and oh.
Oh.
I only need the yolk. So I'm not sure where I am on camera. I don't know if you guys could see what I was doing there, but I was separating the yolk out of the egg white of the second egg.
Oh yeah, they got it a little bit. Unfortunately, you don't have a very good cameraman.
And this egg yolk and the eggshells will probably just give to Ace instead of throwing them out. Okay, so now that that's all mixed up, I'm going to add my salt, my vanilla, and then I'll get working on the dry stuff. I'll be honest, I don't exactly measure my vanilla out when I use it, I just kind of eyeball it. So this calls for 2 teaspoons. That's probably about it right there, so. And it calls for 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I am going to measure the salt out, however, because you definitely don't want your cookies too salty. Ooh. They might be a little salty. It spilled over. I don't know if you guys can hear that in the background, but my jars are pinging. They came out of this pressure canner. Is this my open one? Yes, it is. So also for this recipe, I need cinnamon. I have no idea where you guys are on the camera, where I am. I need cream of tartar. And I'm going to need baking soda. Plus flour, but the flour will come in last. And Josh is just cleaning our jars of chili with vinegar. Not that you can see him, but...
Not on camera, they're focused on you right now.
Okay, so we need... one teaspoon of baking soda. 2 teaspoons of the cream of tartar, which my teaspoon measure does not fit in there, so the half does. So we'll do 4, because I'm using a half teaspoon, but you need 2 teaspoons total. I was going to say, marking this chili. And then to this we're going to add 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon as well. So I'll just keep using my little half measure guy here. And I'll do 3. And the cinnamon I'm not going to put away because I need it to make the sugar mixture to roll the dough balls into before I bake them. So that's going to go over here because I'm still using it. I'm just going to give this a good mix, and then we'll start adding our flour. I'm on to my second bucket of flour, too, which means I need to get a hold of my brother sometime shortly to pick more up for me. So I'm going to do this in cup intervals. I'm using a half cup. I'm going to do a cup at a time and mix the flour in and then keep going. The recipe calls for 3.5 cups of flour. And hopefully my bowl's big enough. You could use a stand mixer for this, but I have that giant stand now that goes in the fridge.
I was debating if I put pasta now.
Oh, I would.
What?
I would.
How much?
A tablespoon or 2.
Pasta?
Yeah. Because you have to remember, it's going to cook and get big. And you don't want to fill it to the top if you're cooking it in the jar. Okay. That's cup number 2 of flour. You did not just listen to anything I said, did you?
I didn't realize where it was. It was too late.
You're going to have to put in a bowl and probably add a little bit of water.
That's kind of what I figured.
But
It's like completely full.
I think like 4 minutes and you'd have...
I'd have decent pasta.
Yeah. Okay, cup number 3 of flour. I'm going very carefully because my bowl's smaller than what I would recommend using. Now this dough is gonna look like it's dry, but you don't want a snickerdoodle dough too wet because you're gonna actually make balls out of it to roll in cinnamon sugar before you bake them. And this recipe actually calls for 3.5 cups of flour. I'm going to stop it at 3, however, because that dough's pretty decent consistency. And I have a feeling if I keep going, it's going to be just a tad too dry. But I was able to roll a ball out of it. So
Hey, no.
Huh?
I know.
Josh is unplugging the drain, guys. I'm apologizing in advance for the loud sound. Okay, I'm gonna get a bowl. I'm gonna make up a cinnamon sugar mixture to roll these guys in. Get my oven preheating to 375. Not sure if you can hear me all the way over here, but it is what it is. And to do this, we're just going to do 1/3 of a cup in the bowl. And it had measurements for the cinnamon, but I'm just going to eyeball that because sometimes we like our stuff different than how recipes call for it. Use my dirty measuring spoon to give this a mix. And this is just a basic cinnamon sugar. It's nothing special. Usually for Snickerdoodles, I kind of get it the color that I would eat it on my buttered toast. And I use that, because at least that way I know we'll like it. Okay, let's make a little bit of room. So for my first tray of cookies, I always add less than what I probably could. Just because I never know how they're going to bake down and how far they're going to spread. And I don't want too many cookies on there and have them spread too much, and result in a lot of stickage. So I'm going to just do 6 on this tray to start, and I'll bake them for about 10 to 12 minutes. And then the next tray, depending on how these ones come out, will determine how many get put on that tray. And yeah, this dough's a little dry, so 3 cups was probably just perfect. It's still sticking in its balls, which is good, but I have to kind of mess with the dough a little bit to get it to hold a shape. Okay, so I'm just going to bake these off, and I'm going to bake the rest of my dough, and we'll see you back to see the final product. Okay guys, so the cookies are done. This is what they look like. I'm not going to post this recipe below, only because these cookies are actually quite dry. The recipe called for the 3.5 cups of flour. I did 3, and they're not quite what I was hoping for. So once I find the perfect Snickerdoodle recipe or Dr. one to fit my needs, I'll share that one with you guys. But it will not be this recipe I used.
So that's the video for this week. As always, make sure you follow us on all of our social media. Instagram at @Revace_homestead. Follow us on the .com, RevaceHomestead.com. Do have some posts up there, newer posts up there. Follow us on Facebook at Revace Homestead. And until next time, guys, have a good one.